Okay, so in my last video, I briefly mentioned how I was better at Blender than I was at coding, and that was and still probably is true. However, that does not mean that my Blender skills are great. In fact, I have no idea how good I am at Blender. So today I'm going to be testing my Blender skills by making a 3D model of my friend's character. But first, I need to talk about my experience with Blender. So the first time I used Blender was to create a barbell collar. I then realized the plastic I had was too weak and new plastic would be way too expensive. Then I decided I would try to actually learn how to use Blender for realsies. I ended up following this tutorial by Blender Guru until episode 7 because he started talking about rendering, which I didn't really care about. Then I decided to learn character modeling by following this tutorial by Joy Carlino. By this point, I had about half a dozen failed barber collars, a donut, and this actually nice looking cat. Now it has been many months since I've touched Blender, however, I have a pretty good memory, so this shouldn't be that difficult. So before I started, I knew I needed a reference image. Right now, I have this image made by this guy named clownjev, who I will link in the description below. But typically, you need a front and side profile before blending. Now, I could draw a reference image, but A, I don't want to do that, and B, it would probably look like shit. However, I don't really have any other options. I'm not nearly confident enough in my Blender abilities to draw without a reference image, and I'm not going to ask AI to do it for me, so I guess I just gotta pick up the pen and get to drawing. Psych, this isn't the I learned how to draw episode, this is the Blender episode! I have a sister who can draw! Now my sister is very good at drawing. In fact, she'll have been drawing for at least 2 months by February next year. So now all I have to do is convince her to draw for me. So now that I have a complete reference image, I can go ahead and start blending. Hey, so this is the part of the video. 1 second. Okay, so this is the part of the video where I'm just gonna talk about like my mindset, and like what I was thinking when I was modeling this. This is gonna be a pretty long segment. As you can see in the video, it's like probably gonna be close to 30 minutes long. And so yeah, if you're really new to Blender, this could be like a learning opportunity. Or if you teach people Blender, this is kind of the insight of like what a noob per se thinks. So right here, I'm just doing my reference images, and that ball is the body of the character, and this other shape is the like head. It's like the spoon part of the character. So my initial thought was that I would make 2 little oval thingies, little beans, and then I would boolean them, right? So I would try and like make a cutout to so you could like have like a more spoon shape. What I instead went with was I whatchamacallit, I just made a oval, cut it in half, did that. A little confused with the mirror modifier because I would move vertices, but it would still have like the same shape. It would just like have vertices sticked out. So I was fiddling around with it, trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. It was because of the bisect thing. You need to have the X part of the bisect like checked if you are, I believe, if you're mirroring it against itself, right? So like if you aren't trying to mirror like 2 arms and a body, instead you're trying to mirror like one shape and have the left side be the same as the right side, you have to have it bisected against itself, I think. Don't quote me on that though. Anyways, just going around modeling, pretty basic. I filling in the surface here in a second. I think right now I'm just trying to make sure it's the right general like width and length, look a little bit spoon-like. You can see I'm struggling a little bit with getting the filled surface and still having it look like concave in the spoon instead of like having like just a piece of wood attached to the top. So I managed to get it in a little bit by making like a line from the top to the bottom and then like adding a bunch of vertices. So you can see me right there. This is actually a pretty good idea from my part, I think. This is pretty smart for me because I would not have thought of this usually, but I managed to stumble upon it. So I set it and make it a little concave. Honestly, I think I should have added more vertices here, make it look a little bit better. I'm trying to make the handle of the spoon like the shaft portion. If you see me leave for long sections like this, that's more than like a couple seconds, it's probably because I was looking up how to use certain modifiers, so I was looking at a tutorial. The one from Joey I looked at occasionally, just for things like generally how you're supposed to like form shapes. You're gonna see it in a bit in the shoes. I temporarily leave just so I can look at the tutorial and see like what shape I should start modeling shoes from. The reason I'm cutting it in half here is because, okay, I guess I'm not doing that anymore. Anyways, I was gonna say so I could use the mirror modifier, but I guess I didn't find that necessary. This part, I was really struggling with modeling this hoodie, the jacket, just because I've never done like a full-on hoodie thing with like the little hood sticking out on the back. So I had to struggle around with it. I ended up actually going to ask my sister how she would like draw a hoodie, and she was like, well, you gotta visualize it in your head. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. But then I came down and I was like, well, I don't want to embarrass myself on the camera, so might as well lock in. So I get this bottom part going, and it doesn't look great right now. It gets better. And one thing I will say is that sometimes it gets bad before it gets good, just because you start out from very simplistic shapes before you can like bring it in and have it really look presentable. Anyways, it's just a little bit more watching. Yeah, so again, this part was really rough. You can see I'm trying to like extend it and put the neck, because I know that the hoodie neck portion of the hoodie it's like elevated and a little bit different, but I'm having a hard time conceptualizing like how I would put that on paper. And I think what I went with here was I kind of brought out some vertices, trying to line it up with a reference image that my sister drew for me. Thank you again for that. And then like that little offset I think was actually pretty nice looking, because in the reference image it's not like a full-on hoodie, right? Because it probably wouldn't fit over the spoon, it would be too big. So I'm not trying to make it so it like accurately go over. I'm just trying to have it make it apparent that there is some like extra stuff back there, you know. So yeah, 1 second. Sorry about that, I went to go get some water. Anyways, I'm just setting up this bottom part. This part was also kind of hard just because I was working at the mirror modifier, and also I was having a hard time making the bottom part of the hoodie like apparent, like being like another kind of bottomish area where it kind of comes in and then goes down, without it just being kind of like a diagonal shape, right? So the solution I found, and went back to a donut like tutorial video, and I extruded, scaled, and then extruded down. Right, so the extruding makes a new set of vertices, but since I immediately scale it, it doesn't actually move down at all. So it's on the same like z-axis like layer, and then I just extrude it down to bring it all down essentially. I know this doesn't look right now. It looks a little bit too skinny, but I do end up fixing that in a little bit. And that's one of the things I like about Blender is you can kind of mess around a little bit and have it, you know, all come together, because you can always, you know, scale, you can always like, you know, retopologize if you're willing to put enough effort in. So you can kind of play around with it. Anyways, I hope you're enjoying this video. I know this is not as attention grabbing, as, you know, nice visuals as my previous one. I do appreciate the support that I got. 500 views is a lot, especially for a very small creator like myself. I was also very surprised to see that I had a lot of viewers from a bunch of different places. I got some from the Philippines, Italy, Germany. I really appreciate it. Anyways, I'm making the legs. You can see the legs are a little bit skinny right now. I wanted to make them like a little bit fatter, just because in general you like the legs look larger than they do in this image, or in this like model. So I'm pretty sure the reason they look so skinny was, one, because they're really long. Those legs are way too long for this body, and also the hoodie, the jacket itself is very thin. So it like for the legs to fit in, you would need them to be small. So just trying to get the vertices to line up. Realize that doesn't look great. I think I fixed it by just like kind of scaling the whole thing. Again, it doesn't look perfect. I'm intending for this to like at the very end to be a rigged VTuber model, so I don't need too much on the legs and arms, just because it's just gonna be Spoons is gonna be sitting down while streaming Geometry Dash. So things like the shoes, the legs, the arms, they're really only so I can get practice in doing those things, because this is my first time not using like a tutorial like walkthrough. So this is what I was talking about earlier, by the way. I had to go watch the tutorial just to like remember to make shoes you have to start off with like an oval instead of a circle. So I'm going around, making everything kind of lines up. It doesn't have to be perfect, just because when you're looking at it, if it's in motion, which the VTuber would be, it would be kind of leaning back and forth, those kinds of things. It can be a little bit off the side, but I don't want it to be like atrocious, right? That's really what I'm looking for right here. So I'm noticing, well, one, I don't have a pocket in the hoodie, so I get the pocket. Then I get to the arms. The arms here are really bad. If I could fix one thing, it would definitely be the arms. I think I had too many surfaces here, right? So I inset it and then I extrude it, right? But when I inserted it and turned it into a circle, because that's the shape arms are, it kind of rotated everything. And I ended up adding more surfaces, which was a really bad idea. And then I actually never recovered from this. This really messed up my model. I don't think it had super lasting effects, but if you look at it from the side, it looks really ugly, at least in my opinion. So this was definitely a mistake that I learned from. I think in the future I'm going to try and not have as many surfaces when I try and do the arms, or I'm going to have the arms be like a separate entity. So that's definitely one thing I learned, and I think that's a part of the process of learning in anything really. I'm by no means a blend expert, but I've learned a lot of different things in the school, and then, you know, powerlifting and the like. And part of it is just failing. You gotta fail a lot. And I think this is the more failures, the more like opportunities to learn. Is how I try and look at it. So I don't know why I did this, but I ended up having really weird topology here. I had like a bunch of vertices and lines and stuff where I really did not want them to be. So I'm just cleaning it up here. I think it might have been because I had the solidify setting on, which made it a little bit thicker. So that might have been part of it. Anyways, I'm just fixing it up here. Looks pretty cool. Anyways, if you did like this video, I know I shouldn't be saying this now, but if you did like it, I really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. I think we got to 20 likes on the last video, which is very surprising to me. I was not expecting it to do that well. So yeah, again, thank you. So I think the idea was that I was going to try and make the hands the forks. I gave up on that eventually because it wasn't too difficult. I just, by the time I could have done that, I would have been doing this blender for like 5 hours at that point. And I was like, it's really not that worth it for a model that's not going to have its hands on screen. So I just decided I'm going to phone it in and not do that. Anyways, I'm just lining the arms up with the sleeves, trying to make sure the loop cuts are generally in the same area with the sleeves and the arms, just because if you're rigging and they're very far apart, it might end up having some clipping stuff, which is not great. Also, for some reason, when I did the circle, I couldn't do and touch like this face in the circle. I don't know why. If anybody who's good at Blender can see this in the comments or sees this, I couldn't click it. I think it didn't register there was like vertices or face there or something. I might have been able to fix it, but I wasn't able to, unfortunately. I think I'd leave to go eat dinner or something. So, okay, never mind. I'm back. Sorry. It's very late at night when I'm recording this. It's about 2 a.m. Yeah, so I'm a little bit out of it. I'm trying to keep my energy a little bit higher because I've heard that my audio isn't as... It was very quiet in the last video, and that was because I was a little bit tired. I generally am because, you know, I'm a student. It is what it is, but I'm going to try and keep a little bit higher energy for you guys. Yeah. So this is sunglasses. The sunglasses and facial expressions were hard here because I'm working with a very uneven surface and it's very concave, right? So I can't exactly just stick things on top of it and hope it works. So my solution with the sunglasses was to kind of just like vaguely put it on there. As you can see, I'm struggling with this. This is way too simple of a shape for me to be struggling with. If anybody just has alternate ways I could have done this, I would appreciate it. I just made a semicircle or a cylinder, made it really small, mirrored it, and then kind of... the mirror didn't work for some reason, so I just ended up putting some rectangles on it, and that was what I ended up doing. So, not elegant, but it worked. So yeah, and I should finish up pretty soon. Yeah, as you can see, I'm like trying to figure out what I did wrong with the mirror. I'm like, what is going on? This makes no sense. I could have gone with the eye patch sunglasses. That would have been pretty funny. It definitely would have not worked, but it is what it is. Anyways, thank you to Spoons, by the way, for letting me use his OC, his persona, I guess, to do this, you know, little blender thing. I really appreciate it. So right now, I'm just making sure everything looks vaguely accurate. It doesn't have to look perfect. I understood that just because one, I'm modeling a spoon, so it's the anatomy kind of goes out the window here, and two, again, I'm not that good at blender, so I was just trying to get some experience on the table here. So I leave to go eat food. I think I had banh mi for dinner or lunch. I don't know when this was. So I come back. I wait, I guess, a little bit because I'm like, well, Max needs time to record the voiceover. Yeah, it doesn't want to. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Right? There are times where it's just I don't want to be there, so I decide to just leave, right? Because I don't know, man. I just didn't want to do any more blender. Wait, okay, I was watching a YouTube tutorial. That's why I was recording. That makes more sense. I don't know how to UV map, and I don't know how to paint. I knew how to texture paint, but I forgot it because I didn't use it for a long time. So right now I'm just assigning a material to each individual like item object. This worked effectively for me. This would not work if this was a more complicated model. Do not do this if you're planning on getting into Blender. I'd recommend doing any other way. I actually recommend using UV mapping. I was trying to use UV mapping, but I think because I started doing this really not effective method, it didn't work. It didn't like it. So I had to end up going with this method, even though I probably shouldn't have. And the reason, like earlier, you saw the arms kind of turn into squares was because I was joining all of the objects after saving, and I had unresolved modifiers or unapplied modifiers on the thingy. So it ended up applying all of the modifiers to everything. So I had like multiple subdivision surfaces, I had multiple mirrors, I had a bunch of solidify stuff, and it really did not like that. So try to avoid that. Apply modifiers before you join things, basically. Anyways, I'm probably gonna put music over this, just because I do stop talking to yawn. I'm also talking very loudly, at least for me at this time, so I'm a little bit out of breath. I promise I don't get out of breath usually. I can run multiple miles without being too out of breath, so please do not make fun of me, I guess. There isn't anything wrong if you can't run multiple miles. I just do it because I hate myself, and I like the pain. Anyways, this is, I'm trying to model a mouth. I try and use a square. I'm like, this doesn't seem like a good idea. I bring out the good old trusty cylinder, because I love cylinders, I guess. Put the mouth on, I'm like, this is not gonna fit neatly no matter what I do, so I'm just gonna try and just eyeball it, you know? This is what I call max engineering, where it's kind of just like, you gotta vaguely get in the right section, and then if it doesn't work, you get somebody else to help you. Anyways, I'm just lining up loop cuts because I know I do have to make this eventually, so I'm using my minimal knowledge to try and just make sure it doesn't look horrible. Working on making the little shaft part look respectable. I think this is actually a different model, like pre-joining everything. Yeah, it definitely is. I think I found some problems with the other model, and I was like, well, I just saved pretty recently, so I might as well try and fix it. Go around to fixing it. And this is the point where things get they get sort of a little bit how do I put this? Not good. I end up looking at a bunch of different tutorials on how to vig, because I was planning on vigging this and then having the end of the video be, wow, I vigged this model and now it can be used as a VTuber thing. However, I came across some roadblocks that I'm still unable to cover. I would like go over. I definitely could, but there were multiple hour-long tutorials on how to do it, and I want to get this video out in a timely manner. So yeah. Anyways, I'm probably gonna skip ahead a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. Just because a lot of this is either dead space or me going through files and stuff with like my name in it. Like not my name, but like, you know, important details and stuff that I'd rather not be on the internet. So this is the finished product. I am not gonna render it because it's really dark and I don't know how to make it add lights, so you can't really see anything. But this is what it looks like in normal view, or material view, I guess. It looks all right. I'm not super happy with how like this handle look turned out, but I think overall for my first time, I'm pretty satisfied with this. I was not able to rig it and do all the VTuber stuff just because it's really hard and I couldn't find any really good tutorials. However, I am willing to make a promise, a bet with you guys. If this video gets to like 100 likes, right, I will figure out how to do all the rigging, all of the VTuber stuff, and then I will post a video on how to do it. It will not be soon, because it will take me many months to figure it out because I'm not that good at art or Blender or anything like that. It's very much a not a thing I'm good at. I just have to try really hard. However, it will be done eventually, hopefully by 6 months after, and I will post a video on that. So yeah, no pressure on reaching that goal, but if you do want to see that, make sure to like, subscribe, share, all of that. Thank you. Bye.